Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Brinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, 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 Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. I have to compliment you on your response. Outstanding response. You followed my tune. You sang with enthusiasm. I'm just impressed. All glories to New Dwarka. Jam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Paribrajacacharya Stotra Satta Sri Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Brinda Ki Jai Namacharya Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Brinda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shyama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhana Ki Jai Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Navadvip Dham Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Tulsi Maharani Ki Jai Jamuna Devi Ki Jai Ganga Devi Ki Jai Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai The world famous Sri Sri Rukmini Dwarakadesha Ki. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Sri Mate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin iti namane namaste saraswate deve gauravani pracharine nirvishesha shunyavadi pashyatya deshatarane. We are assembled here in the Western World Headquarters of ISKCON, and we are studying the Srimad Bhagavatam, the Bhagavad Purana, the complete science of God. Currently studying the third canto entitled The Status Quo, chapter 24, the renunciation of Kardama Muni. Today's verse number 39. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Each word, mam, ātmānaṁ, svayaṁ-jyotiḥ, sarva-bhūta-guhāśayam, ātmani, evātmanā, vīkṣya, viśoko, bhayam, ṛcchasi. Mam ātmānaṁ svayam-jyotiḥ, sarva-bhūta-guhāśayam, ātmani evātmanā vīkṣya, viśoko bhayam ṛcchasi. Mam ātmānaṁ svayam-jyotiḥ, sarva-bhūta-guhāśayam, ātmani evātmanā vīkṣya, viśoko bhayam ṛcchasi. Mam ātmānaṁ svayam-jyotiḥ, sarva-bhūta-guhāśayam, ātmani evātmanā vīkṣya, viśoko bhayam ṛcchasi. Please recite. Vīkṣya, viśokaḥ ṛcchasi. Mam ātmānaṁ svayam-jyotiḥ, sarva-bhūta-guhāśayam, ātmani evātmanā vīkṣya, viśoko bhayam ṛcchasi. More men. Svayaṁ-jyotiḥ, sarva-bhūta-guhāśayam, ātmani evātmanā vīkṣya, viśoko bhayam ṛcchasi. Svayaṁ-jyotiḥ, mahāśayam, ātmana vīkṣya, viśoko bhayam ṛcchasi. Ladies. ātmānaṁ svayam-jyotiḥ. sarva-bhūta-guhāśayam. ātmany evātmanā vīkṣya. viśoko bhayam ṛcchasi. ātmānaṁ svayam-jyotiḥ. sarva-bhūta-guhāśayam. ātmany evātmanā vīkṣya. viśoko bhayam ṛcchasi. ātmānam svayam-jyotiḥ. sarva-bhūta-guhāśayam. ātmany evātmanā vīkṣya. viśoko bhayam ṛcchasi. Anyone else? ātmānaṁ svayam-jyotiḥ. sarva-bhūta-guhāśayam. ātmany evātmanā vīkṣya. viśoko bhayam ṛcchasi. Synonyms: mam, me; ātmānam, the Supreme Soul, or Paramātmā; svayam-jyotiḥ, self-effulgent; sarva-bhūta, of all beings; guhā, in the hearts; āśayam, dwelling; ātmani, in your own heart; eva, indeed; ātmanā, through your intellect; vīkṣya, always seeing, always thinking; viśokaḥ, free from lamentation; abhayam, fearlessness; ṛcchasi, you will achieve. Kindly respond. In your own heart, through your intellect, you will always see me, the Supreme Self-Effulgent Soul, dwelling within the hearts of all living entities. Thus you will achieve the state of eternal life, free from all lamentation and fear. In your own heart, through your intellect, you will always see me, the Supreme Self-Effulgent Soul, dwelling within the hearts of all living entities. Thus you will achieve the state of eternal life, free from all lamentation and fear. Purport composed by His Divine Grace, the ISKCON founder, Acharya, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. Before I read Prabhupada's purport, I am inspired to say that I visit various temples around, and each temple has its specific charm and certain things about it. And this temple, many things could be said, but the thing that I am experiencing today, when you come to this temple, you feel the presence of Prabhupada. That's what I feel. I feel like I've come home and Prabhupada is here. Purport by His Divine Grace. People are very anxious to understand the absolute truth in various ways, especially by experiencing the brahma-jyoti or Brahman effulgence by meditation and mental speculation. But Kapiladeva uses the word mam to emphasize that the personality of Godhead is the ultimate feature of the absolute truth. In Bhagavad-gītā, the personality of Godhead always says, mam, unto me. but the rascals misinterpret the clear meaning. Mom is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If one can see the Supreme Personality of Godhead as he appears in different incarnations, and understand that he has not assumed a material body, but is present in his own eternal spiritual form, then one can understand the nature of the personality of Godhead. Since the less intelligent cannot understand this point, it is stressed everywhere again and again. Simply by seeing the form of the Lord as he presents himself by his own internal potency as Krishna or Rama or Kapila, one can directly see the Brahma-jyoti, because the Brahma-jyoti is no more than the effulgence of his bodily luster. Since the sunshine is the luster of the sun planet, by seeing the sun, one automatically sees the sunshine. Similarly, by seeing the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one simultaneously sees and experiences the Paramātmā feature as well as the impersonal Brahman feature of the Supreme. The Bhagavatam has already enunciated that the absolute truth is present in three features. In the beginning, as the impersonal Brahman; in the next stage, as the Paramātmā in everyone's heart; and at last, as the ultimate realization of the absolute truth, Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One who sees the Supreme Person can automatically realize the other features, namely the Paramātmā and Brahman features of the Lord. The words used here are viśoko, bhayam, ṛcchasi. Simply by seeing the personality of Godhead, one realizes everything, and the result is that one becomes situated on the platform where there is no lamentation, no fear. This can be attained simply by devotional service to the personality of Godhead. Trinadapi sunichena turar iva sahishnuna amanina manadena kirtaniya sadahari harenama 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 eva kivalam kalo nastyeva 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 gatir anyata. So if you read Prabhupada's books, if you study, you will see this is something Prabhupada stresses, that this word mom, which appears, like he mentioned in the purport, that mom, the speaker of Bhagavad-gītā, is referring to himself. So Prabhupada always emphasized this point, that God is a person. Years ago here in New Dwarka, on different occasions, I asked Hari Sharidas, Prabhupada's personal servant for several years. I asked him, Prabhu, what was the most significant thing you learned from Prabhupada? And immediately he said, God is a person. Then a few years later, Shyamasundara came to New Dwarka for some festival, and I cornered him stealthily, and I said, Prabhu, you spend so much time with our spiritual master. What was the most significant thing? He said the same thing. God is a person. So this is big. This is very big. And in the purport, it was mentioned how the different avatars, incarnations, they appear, as stated in the Bhagavad-gītā, in Krishna's internal spiritual potency. But the incarnations do not have a material body. Now, this was something my father could never accept. When I would visit my father every year for Christmas, after the first few minutes, hello, how are you, how you doing? There's nothing to talk about. So then my wife and I would start, Hare Krishna, Krishna. And he goes, every year this would happen. How can you keep saying the same thing over and over? And every year I would try to explain, my wife would try to explain. Just went over his head. Now my father was very, very religious, very, very pious. He followed the regulative principles except one, meat eating. But all the other regulative, he was very strict. And in my house, never a profanity, four-letter word was ever uttered. Never. Nobody ever cursed in my house. So I was brought up very strict, very, very strict. How do I know? Because for 23 years, whenever I said I wanted something, no. So when I became a young man, and not young, but young boy and teenager, I realized, all right, they're never going to give me what I want. So I have to get it on the sly. But that's how strict it was. The answer was always no. And there was no argument in my house. What my father said, that was it. And that's why at the age of 19, when I became a hippie, he gave me the ultimatum, 11 o'clock at night. I had been out and I came home. He was so angry. If you're going to stay in my house, you have to follow my rules. Otherwise, there's the door. And he was serious. And by that time, I was thinking, yeah, it's time to go. And I left. Hare Krishna. The journey began for the next 5 years until I stumbled upon Krishna. Still remember those days, that year, 72 to 73, coming closer to Krishna. So many wonderful incidents. So here we see that my father, when we would have a discussion, he understood God, he believed in God, but he could not accept that God had a spiritual body. His conclusion was God was a spirit. But when I tried to explain to him, and I quoted the Bible, man is made out of the image and likeness of God. I mean, it's right there. But no, God was. But here, when you come to Prabhupada, you learn the full meaning of that biblical line. God is made man is made out of the image and likeness of God. And then when you read about Krishna, oh, that's what they're talking about. Krishna book, the greatest book, in my opinion. So God is a person. Prabhupada referenced that verse that we should have learned from the first canto. That, how does it go? Yes. Vadanti tat tattva vidas tattvam yajnanam advayam brahmeti Paramātmeti Bhagavan iti shabdyate. The absolute truth is realized in 3 features. This is the first lesson of the absolute truth. 3 features, but it all comes from the Supreme Person, the Supreme Form. Now in this verse, Kapiladeva, Bhagavan, he explains that he is as it says here, ātmānaṁ, the Supreme Soul. So we learn from Bhagavad-gītā, especially chapter 13, two souls in the body. You, me, the Jiva soul. And then also there's another knower of the field of activities. That's significant to learn that. That there's also another proprietor, super soul, Krishna. And in the Upanishads, the example is given of two birds sitting in a tree. One bird is just relishing his existence, is not flying from branch to branch, because on the tree of the body there's only two fruits. That's it. Happiness, distress. There are so many varieties that you can enjoy, but basically happiness and distress. So the other bird representing us, flying from tree to tree, branch to branch, right? Tasting the fruit. And happiness and distress, it comes and goes. It's temporary, as long as you have a material body. Whatever material pleasure you enjoy, as the saying goes, it's here today, gone tomorrow. Just like this body. I look at the youngsters, how they're very enthusiastic. They have so much energy. And me, plodding along, step by step. And I'm thinking, what happened? I used to be able to jump and run. Not anymore. Slow down. What happened? I'm the same Nicky that I was, but no. This body is going to be a disappointment. Coming to a theater to you. Old age and death. Are you ready? That's a lot what I've been thinking. Am I ready? The day is coming. The knock is coming. No, I don't want to go. Come. Got to be ready. Therefore, I would explain to my father, we are practicing. We are practicing. Athletes, they practice. You can't be a billionaire athlete and not practice. You may be the greatest athlete, but we see, right? So many people getting up early like us, but where are they going? The gym. This is our gym. But many people, religiously, they're hitting the gym. And the music is blaring. And they're, you can do it, come on. They get pumped up. That's their sadhana. Our sadhana is Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So in the Bhagavad-gītā, there are many statements about Paramātmā. Anumantahi upadrashta, also in chapter 13, that Paramātmā is overseeing, witnessing, and also sanctioning. Yes, that's something people have to learn. Yes. You may do everything perfectly from the material angle. You may get, like they say, get all your ducks in a row, dot all your I's, cross all your T's. I've done everything, and then the result comes, you lose. But I did everything. Too bad. Bhagavad-gītā explains 5 causes for the result of an activity. And what's the last one? Daiva. Who's Daiva? Paramātmā, super soul. He is sanctioning or not sanctioning. So much in the Bhagavad-gītā deals with understanding super soul, Paramātmā, and our relationship. So many verses Krishna is pointing out. So it was explained when Krishna told Arjuna there are 2 knowers of the field. Here's why we're not God. I know my field. You know you. I don't know what's going on in your body, and you don't want to know what's going on in my body. Trust me. Right? Because I have to go sometimes to the clinic or to the hospital, and I see people, I go, oh boy, I'm doing pretty good. When I see some people, I mean, serious, suffering like anything, and they can barely walk, and they're hunched over, and I'm going, oh, Krishna, please, I don't want to wind up like that. And then my wife will say something snarky. Yes. So the individual soul only knows what's going on in their body. But Krishna says, but I know what's going on in everybody's body. When you can do that, now you can claim to be God. Otherwise, talk to the hand. You're not God. Now, Prabhupada emphasized this idea, viśoko, abhayam, ṛcchasi. You will achieve fearlessness. And we learned this also in that wonderful bhajan. I always like to sing. Prabhupada has recorded it 4 times at least. Bhajahure manna Sri Nanda abhaya charanara vindare abhaya charanara vindare abhaya charanara vindare. And each of the different recordings, Prabhupada gives purports. I love Prabhupada's purports to his songs. I have all of them on my Maya phone. All of Prabhupada's bhajan purports. And the way he explains this, my dear mind, let us make an agreement. Let's make a pact. Let's cooperate. Like in a marriage. The key to a marriage is cooperation. Am I right, Tadit? Right? You've been married how many years? There has to have been cooperation. Otherwise, it don't last. Yes. Some people say compromisation. That you could say is synonymous. Because if it's always my way, no one's going to do that. No one is going to sign up for, oh yes, it'll always be your way. Not in a marriage. No. And you think it's going to be 50-50. Little by little, 60-40, 70-30. On the other end, not your end. Because I remember when I first got married, 1980, I was thinking, yeah, now I'm guru. Now I will order my wife, make me samosa. That's what I was really thinking like that. Right? That I would just snap my finger. Baruni, make me a samosa. After 2 weeks, I realized it's nothing like that. It don't work that way. Yes. But I still eat good. So this song, Bhaja Hare Mana, the author Govinda Das is saying to my dear mind, let us cooperate. And what should that cooperation be? Let us be fixed at the lotus feet of Krishna. And by doing so, we will become, as it says here, abhay, fearless. Bhagavatam explains, what's the root cause of the fear? The bodily conception of life. That is the root cause of all fear. Identifying with this body. And what's the very first lesson that Krishna tells Arjuna? Step outside your body. I want to talk to you. Because you're not your body, Prabhu. You're not your mind. Yes. And those who have listened to so many Prabhupada lectures, so many lectures, he talks about you're not the body. So many. Why? Because it's the fundamental, it's the foundation. Without a foundation, without a fundamental principle, you can't go anywhere. You have to have the fundamentals, the foundation. So the foundation of our philosophy, Bhagavad-gītā. And Prabhupada wants us to know Bhagavad-gītā. You see in his purports so many quotes. He alluded to it. He didn't give the verse. But also in this verse, brahma-bhūta na shochati, there it is, na shochati, na kaṅkṣati. When you're in Krishna consciousness, you have no more hankering or lamenting for anything material. But the hankering and lamenting is still there. What? Then why should I be a devotee? That's different. The lamentation and the hankering for the devotee is service. I want, even Prabhupada was mentioning, and he wrote, the devotee never thinks this is the limit of my service. No. The devotee is always thinking, I want to do more. I remember, I was in New York sometime 77, 80, 55th Street. And Karandar, who used to be president here a long time ago, but later on, he was driving the BBT truck. That was his service. And I remember he pulled in to the temple and he was saying, yes, Prabhupada said that after he finished after he finished Bhagavatam, he was going to translate Mahabharata. He was going to, Prabhupada had plans. He had plans. He was going to do more. So that's the symptom of a devotee. I want to do more service. I want to do better service. That's the mark of a devotee. So the devotee is hankering, please give me some, every day, what are we saying? Hare Krishna, Hare Ram. What are we saying? Please gauge me in your service. Shut up. Sorry about that. I usually mute. Okay, you won't hear it. Yes, we are saying every day, every moment, please engage me in your service. But what's my problem? The service comes, no, I can't do that. But all day long I'm saying, please engage me in your service. And when the service comes, I reject it. That's my lamentable position. So my experience is, for what it's worth, that if you find a service that you really, really like, that is a blessing from Krishna. For some people, it's kirtan. For some people, it's eating. For some people, it's Here he is, Grandfather Bhishma of book distribution. Right? You're still going out every day? You enjoy it, right? You found your service, right? So Vas, he's got so much service. Temple president, BBT, he's got so much service, there's no time for Maya, and that is the secret. Getting so much service, Maya doesn't have a chance, because as soon as I give up service, Maya says, oh, come, I'll engage you. She's always there, ready, at every moment. So they have this expression in sports: the best defense is a good offense. So more service, more service, more service, more service. And like I said, if you, like I was talking to somebody I've known here for many, many years. He has his service, dressing Rukmini Dwarkadish. He just looks forward to that. If you have one service that you really, then what did, I think on Bhakti Siddhanta's final statement, something about your service, which is your all and all. There's some statement like that. So if you can find a devotional activity that you really, really look forward to, that's a blessing, because that's going to save you. That's going to save you. And every day we're trying to become better and better in our hearing and chanting. As I've said for so many years, people write to me, they ask for consultation or they have a question, and I always try to impress upon them. It all comes down to how nicely you do your japa every day. You do that nicely, no matter what happens, you'll be victorious. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. So, let's give the microphone to Swabhas. Perhaps he would like to correct or add, subtract.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you for a nice class. What could I add to that? I'm not quite sure. In the purport, Prabhupada says that if one can actually see the Lord, then one can become free from lamentation and fear. So I was thinking how expert Prabhupada was to give us deity worship. Because you can see, you look at Rukmini Dwarkadish, and just seeing them early in the morning, throughout the day, you don't feel lamentation, and you don't feel any fear. So I would say, for us, we're very fortunate that Prabhupada gave us this understanding of deity worship, and you were saying how Krishna is a person. And so by seeing Rukmini Dwarkadish every day, you realize more and more that Krishna is a person, and if you realize that, then you become freed from lamentation and fear.
Yes, Prabhupada in ISKCON's given us those 5 most important items of bhakti. It's all there. If you participate in Prabhupada's program, the 5 major limbs of bhakti are all there. Prabhupada has made it so perfect. Just have to, as they say, plug in. More discussion. Right here, next to you, Swabhas.
Hare Krishna. My name is Bhakta Kevin.
Oh, I've heard about you. You're famous.
Not like you.
Hey, I'm only telling you what I heard.
Hare Krishna. So the word choice that Prabhupada uses for Bhagavan, personality of Godhead, which for a layman, when we preach or distribute books, may not come across. We often just use the broad term God, but even that word has become in the West less appealing. So how can we understand that Prabhupada's intention to describe Bhagavan as a personality of Godhead?
Because, first of all, Prabhupada's mantra that we chant, Nirvishesha Shunyavadi. So Prabhupada's philosophical point of view, the thing that's really driving him, is to destroy impersonalism and voidism. So that is a theme that's going to run through all of his thinking, because that's his objective, his motivation, to destroy impersonalism and voidism. So by Godhead means, just like we have a king and his kingdom. So Godhead refers to everything related to God, such as his devotees, the spiritual world, but ultimately there is a person or personality. Just to negate that, like I was saying about my father, he couldn't accept that God has a form. He couldn't accept it. So Prabhupada's teachings are all about that, hammering that point time and time again. Personality, personality, person, form, like that. People understanding Prabhupada's books, in one sense, to understand Prabhupada's books is also a blessing. You actually need grace to actually penetrate and understand. Now, the book's potent. I became a devotee because of the books. All right? And many of us will tell you, we didn't understand everything, but you would pick up one thing. I remember the first book I got, Transcendental Teachings of Prahlad Maharaj, 1972, from Devi Shakti Devi Dasi. I still remember where it was. I can still remember her. I got the book. And I remember reading that pamphlet. Now, I didn't understand everything, but I knew this is what I had been looking for all my life. I could sense it. So the understanding comes through purification. And what do we say? Cheto darpana marjanam bhava mahadavagnid shreyakaira vachandrika vitaranam vidya vadhu jivanam. The life and soul of transcendental knowledge is the holy name. So we encourage people to read and also chant. And the combination of chanting and reading one day, that's what that means. It's happened so many times. I remember in the early days, you would read things like, what? What's he talking about? But you would just say, that's okay. The prasadam is okay. I'll stay another day. I like the prasad. Then weeks later, you're that's what that means. That's Krishna's reciprocation. But you have to be patient. Our job, just administer the medicine. Just, Bhagupati will tell you, give them the book. Just give. And it's like a seed. And one day it will blossom. And they'll be right here like you. Okay? Good enough?
Yes, thank you.
Haribol.
Haribol.
All right, we got some more hands. Yeah, we'll get you after him. Okay. Yes, Prabhu.
In Bhagavad-gītā, Lord Sri Krishna says to Arjuna that one who remembers him when leaving the body, he goes to Krishna.
Yes.
And does it happen like you can like remember a lot of things when you're like in that situation, right? Like if you remember, yeah, that's something Lord Krishna said. It
Yeah.
will happen. But how do you remember? Like, is there any
That
process?
also, you could say, is a gift. But what can you do? Practice. Practice. I've used this example many. You can tell how good you are. Do you drive a car? You're driving. This is LA, or we should say, Helle. You're driving. What happens? When that guy cuts you off, or somebody gives you the bird, right? How do you respond? Do you also respond, or do you say, Hare Krishna? Right? Or say you're almost getting in an accident. What comes out of your mouth? That'll tell you. So that's why we practice and practice. And keep in mind, because you're chanting every day, Krishna knows, okay, this boy is good boy. He's practicing. So more likely, you will have that benediction at the time of death. You'll remember, if you've practiced. Now, I've heard this philosophy. Oh, I just have to remember Krishna at the time of death? Okay, let me party, and I'll remember Krishna at the time of death. And it doesn't work that way. No, you have to be ready, be prepared, practice. Are you practicing? Good boy. Yeah, okay.
One more. You said Lord Sri Krishna is a personality, is a person.
Yes.
So one can imagine him as he wish like, or is there anything like I can imagine in any form or anything, right? Or is there anything that someone
No,
has to follow?
we don't imagine. The descriptions are there. These deities are not just, this is why it's not idol worship. The deities is constructed according to scriptural injunctions. You can't just, see, that's idol worship. Like in the Bible, when the Jews were in the desert and they felt like God abandoned them. So they started worshiping a golden calf. Okay? That's idol worship. They had no authority. They just did it. So these deities, there are so many rules and regulations how the deity is to be made. The descriptions are there. Bhagavad-gītā teaches us how to meditate. In chapter 8, one should think of the Supreme Lord like this, like this, like this. So the whole purpose of reading Bhagavatam is to teach us how to remember the Lord. But if you can just remember Hare, or even just 2 syllables, yes, say it. You're good. You're good to go. But as far as thinking, we have so many paintings. That's why, in one sense, the books are better than the computer, because in the editions, there are so many paintings like that. So it's already there. Just have to, again, plug in. Okay, let's give her a chance. Are you satisfied? Yeah. Okay, good.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Thank you so much for such an inspiring class. My question is related to service. Growing up in the movement, sometimes we see devotees getting burnt out by service, and I've also experienced this where you're so busy with the schedule of service that there is a sense of being burnt out. Does this come from perhaps not chanting properly? What might be the reason for this, or is it not finding
Okay, good. Now, this is a very good question. I'm going to give you 2 dings. So, we get burnt out only because we're emphasizing or we're attached to materialistic conceptions or materialistic, we're seeing things materialistically. When you see things from a transcendental platform, you won't get so burnt out. Now, of course, I'm burnt out. I'm 74. I'm burnt out. So, yes, that's why you should broaden your scope. So if this service is no longer tenable, you've got a backup service. When all else fails, and of course, Mahaprasade Govinde, okay? So it's been my experience. We get burnt out from, a lot of times, I would say, not having good relationships with devotees. That's a big burnout. So, what does Lord Chaitanya warn us? Trinadapi sunichena, humble, humble. Prabhu, I am the most humble that ever lived. I could hear someone with orange hair saying that. There's never been anyone more humble than me. No, you can never be too humble. So if you remain humble, then you'll be okay. So sometimes it's devotee interactions, okay? Sometimes a particular service may require lots of physical activity. All of us have a limitation. The trick, I'll say the trick, say the art, here's my suggestion. You have to learn how to say humbly, with humility, Prabhu, I'm just not able to do that service. With humility, you can do anything if you have real humility. Okay? Trust me. I hate that expression. But anyway, like with my marriage, that has saved my marriage. Yes, Prabhu. But with humility, then you can, I've advised devotees even with, I don't know why this is, but I have so many people who write to me and they ask me all the questions that they're afraid to ask their own guru. And I go, why are you asking me? Oh no, I can't bother Guru Dave. No. So they ask me all the questions they're afraid to ask their spiritual master. So I get the dirty work. So I've advised them because sometimes that happens. So I tell them, with humility, Prabhu or Guru Dev, it's not possible. Please forgive me. You'll be okay. This was a controversial. I have to make sure that Subhas is okay with my answer. Did I say anything wrong? Huh? No, I'm serious. Huh? Oh, I see. I practice what I preach. Good. Okay. All right, who's else got a question? You have a comment. Well, comments?
My comment is it's impossible to be bored during one of your classes. It's absolutely impossible. And as expert as my mind is in finding fault, it's defeated when it's confronted by my intelligence, and which says, come on, this guy's good. You got to admit it. Thank you. There's a verse in the Bhagavad-gītā that says, I think Narada Muni is instructing Vyasadeva. He says, "Oh, good soul, does not a thing applied therapeutically cure a disease which was caused by the very same thing?" So in this case, the thing is your personality. And I feel like you've successfully dovetailed every different aspect of your personality in Krishna's service, emotions, intellect, your marriage, your toothache, whatever it is. You've dovetailed it and to the point where you've become a transcendentally larger-than-life personality. As you were speaking, I looked up in the dictionary the definition for that phrase. It says, larger-than-life is a person who attracts special attention because of unusual and flamboyant appearance or behavior. So, but you've done it in Krishna's service, and you know, you're totally transcendental. And I'd like to just take one pastime. This is, I don't think it's anything new. I remember I was with Nirantara way back in 1973. We're on the subways, and we used to, go into the subway car and make an announcement and give people Back to Godhead magazine and distribute luglus, and that was a form of Sankirtan. So I remember this one day. Nirantara didn't remember this, but I remember it clearly. One day, we were there together, in the car, and he comes up to me and he says, he's beet red, and beet red and like effulgent, and he comes up and he says, Prabhu, I love Sankirtan. And I always
That didn't last. Trust me.
Anyway.
That didn't last. All right, okay. Archita and then...
Hare Krishna. I just wanted to go back to Bhakti Nidhi's question, because there's one aspect that was missing from your answer. And it's very important, and that's surrender. We're here to be trained how to surrender to Krishna, which means sometimes you have to go beyond your comfort. Yes, you can humbly say, I can't do this, but if the guru or your authority insists, you may have to push beyond that. Sometimes in ISKCON, there's emergency management. Many of us have been through that, where there's so few devotees and so much to be done. So from the time you get up in the morning till the time you take rest, you have to just suck it up and go out there and do things. I remember living in Potomac, when it was just a handful of us living there, and in Potomac there's a driveway that goes down from street level down to the temple level. And rarely, but once in a while, it ices over. So in addition to your japa and your sadhana and cooking and doing it, we had to all go out there with literally axes and chop the ice so that people will come. Because if they didn't come to the Sunday feast, half the income is gone. Because it was at that time very, very down in terms of attendance. So sometimes you have to do things way beyond what you think you're capable of under the order of the spiritual master. Now, sometimes the spiritual master may not give the order because he knows you won't follow. Like there was that one case where Prabhupada wanted the temple president in one place to go somewhere else. So there was a meeting, a walk, and he was talking, and he, it's kind of insinuated he wanted that, but he didn't order him. So at the end, the other devotees asked Prabhupada, why didn't you order him? Because Prabhupada said, if I ordered him and he didn't do it, it would be a great offense. So the spiritual master may be sensitive in that way, that you're not really ready to do something that he or she wants you to do, and so they don't order you. But you should be sensitive as a disciple that this needs to be done. That's what it means to be a top. Prabhupada said the top level disciple means they know what needs to be done and they do it. Next level is they wait to be ordered and then they do it. Next level is they get ordered and they don't do it.
All right, Sachi Chinoy.
Thank you, Nirantara Prabhu. You were mentioning about find the service that you like to do. And I was just telling my wife this morning, I said, Nirantara Prabhu, he found a service that he really likes to do. And I remember that from maybe 36 years ago, you were a Bhakta leader here, and I detected that you were really very super enthusiastic. You're still doing the same thing. So that's really nourishing us. You're like the embodiment of enthusiasm when it comes to...
No, you got it all wrong. See, what you don't understand, I am the Al Pacino of ISKCON. I am an actor. I'm an actor. But I would very like Swabhas to end this vituperation, because let's settle all accounts with the Corleone family, with Swabhas giving the final, no more questions, last statement by the boss.
Well, which part?
Any,
It's also amalgamated. I'm not quite sure which part. But I would say as a temple president, if somebody does come up to me in a humble way and says, I can't do this anymore, it's conducive and smart on my part to say, okay, but what else can you do?
There you go.
What else can you do? What would you like to do? So, in other words, the reason that's important is because some people may say, I can't do this, but then they don't want to do anything else. So, it just puts burden on the other devotees. Like if you're working in a pujaya room or in the kitchen and book distribution, well, who will do that? So I would say that it works both ways. If someone comes in humility and they say, I can't do this, then you should expect the authority will say, well, what can you do?
Yes.
And you should surrender and be humble.
You like that? That's why he's the boss. All right. Thank you very much for allowing me. May Krishna bless you in just New Dwarka forever. Thanks, boss, for clearing the air. You still going out on book distribution? God.